I think I wanted a position where I felt more fulfilling, and the medical device world was just a better fit for me. I would say I do feel like I'm making impact when I'm working with the nurses and hearing about all of the things that happened with this patient and how some of them healed, or just what they used to help this patient recover, does make me feel really good about my job. Hey, I'm Sarah. I am a dog mom, plant enthusiast, and a wifey, as well as a senior account manager. So I went to the University of Alabama. I graduated with my bachelor's in business administration with a specialization in sales, and I also doubled up and did my master's in marketing my senior year. I did intern with E&J Gallo Winery my junior year, and after that I was offered a full-time position my senior year to work with them. So after I graduated in 2018, I moved to Tampa, Florida, and worked as an account manager there, and I covered all of St. Pete, Florida. So I did sell, again, a wide array of portfolio of wines and liquors. So it was a very different journey, I would say, but it was a great start in learning more about sales and just kind of finding out what I enjoyed. I wasn't very passionate about wine and learning about the stories of wine, and I think that's kind of why I started leaning into where I really wanted to be. So I sell several different types of products in the wound care world. There's 5 different subdivisions. I'm in our dressing division, so I sell everything from just gauze and surgical dressings to silver dressings. I also mentioned a technical product that we sell that helps with turning patients, but I would say a wide array of products. So everything from different type of foam dressings that we use to help prevent pressure injuries, to technical products that help with turning patients to help prevent pressure injuries, to surgical dressings, to silver dressings that we use in the burn unit. So I sell several different types of products. A typical day, obviously it's very different in my role. It's kind of all over the place. You're either educating day and night shifts for a whole week at a hospital, or sometimes you're just going to your local hospital and checking in with everyone. But I wake up somewhat early, take my dog out, drink some coffee, check my emails, and then I'm either out in the field, so I might be driving 2 hours to Columbia, South Carolina, and checking in with some customers there, or staying locally in Charleston and checking in with some of my hospitals here, the VA or MUSC. It's a very long sales cycle in my industry, so just making sure we're on track with some of the technical products I was saying. It does take quite a long time to get some things into the hospital set up, so just making sure we're on track for that. So I'm inpatient and outpatient, so in the main hospitals and then outside in wound centers and outpatient surgical centers. So I can kind of pop all over, but I would say my main call points when I go into a hospital setting are our wound care directors, critical care directors, CNOs, CFOs. I can talk to many people in the hospital, everyone from the floor nurses and the staff on the critical care units up to the wound care director and the burn surgeons and the CNOs, chief nursing officers and chief financial officers. I can kind of bounce around wherever in the acute care setting, and then outpatient, just speaking with some of the surgeons there and seeing what products they're using, if we can place any of our silver dressings or any type of dressings in their center is kind of where I focus on. I do feel like I'm making a difference when I come into the hospital and I hear nurses and the wound care director telling me, wow, like this patient's wound has been healing and we've been trying your silver dressing and we used your device to help turn him every 2 hours and it really healed up. I think every day there's always something new, and hearing these nurses telling me the positive impact that my products are making, it just keeps me going every day and waking up every day and going out and making a difference. In the medical industry, you do see a lot of tough things day to day. So I do work in the burn unit, and I've heard, patients' families like crying and when a loved one passed, sorry, I'm gonna cry. It is really a lot. But yeah, I mean, you do see a lot every day. So being the ER, you'll see a lot of patients being rushed in and hearing patients' families crying because their loved ones passed. But I would say I do feel like I'm making impact when I'm working with the nurses and hearing about all of the things that happened with this patient and how some of them healed, or just what they used to help this patient recover, does make me feel really good about my job. My past job, I would say, was just a lot. It was a grind. I was getting up at 4 a.m. and going into stores and talking with several different customers every day. And it was great having a team around me and being able to speak with them and being with them. But I would say where I'm at now, I'm a lot happier and comfortable and just passionate about what I'm doing now. And I was doing very well there. I did enjoy the job, but I have always kind of been passionate about the medical world. I did want to be a PA for a little while, so I've just always been interested in science and the medical world. And so I started looking at different job openings, and I actually had found someone just out and about in the city, and he was explaining how he worked for a medical device company and how he really enjoyed his job. He was telling me all about his day-to-day, and I don't know, it just kind of really drove me into looking for medical device jobs. I knew I always wanted to get into it, but I think after speaking with him, it kind of drove me into really diving in and finding a new job. So I saw a couple listings. I interviewed with a couple different medical device companies, and it is a very intense interview process. You usually have 4 to 5 different interviews. I had 5 interviews in total. So I met with the district manager, and I brought my sales data and just, we call it a brag book in the sales world, but just everything that you've accomplished in your past role and just kind of where I saw myself in 3 to 5 years. And in my final interview, I met with the vice president of sales and the Southeast director. And I think just we really had a great conversation, and I feel like they felt I was a great fit for this role. Some of my friends who are interviewing have asked some of my tips, and my biggest tip, I would say, is having some type of 30, 60, 90 plan prepped for that company, as well as on your resume, positioning why you would be best in this role. So kind of taking your experience and why you would be a best fit for this position. I think my advice is just making sure, again, you're organized, but having some type of plan on your future at that company, why they should hire you, what you're passionate about, where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years, making sure you have a strong answer for those questions. When I first came up to this territory, I did not know a single person in Charleston, South Carolina. I moved from Florida, and one of my fellow reps knew a couple people in the lobby and invited me out, and she said, I think this will be a great way for you to network. And it was great to learn a little bit more about customers they were working with, or what hospitals were some of their call points. And so that was a great way for me to kind of start in my role here. And then I would say also a lot of my friends who are looking for new positions, I've invited them to go to lobby events. I have friends in Dallas and I have friends in Philadelphia who are asking me, where do I go and how do I, start networking, or how do I find some positions in the medical device world? And I always tell them, if they can, try to make it to a lobby event. You will find one contact there who will maybe set you into a role that you'll be there for 20 years.